Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm calling it Horror Rental Memories. I'm going to go through 5 things that I remember from the days of renting horror films from video shops and video stores. So a little kind of nostalgic trip down memory lane back to the 90s when I was a kid and growing up and discovering a lot of my favourite horror movies through these incredible video rental shops that were around at the time. So yeah, hopefully a fun little video and a bit of nostalgia here and there for the old video rental days. Let's get straight to it. Okay, so my first memory of going into the old rental shops and looking at the movies involves this movie, Mum, from 1990. It's a cool little monster movie starring Brian James. I've talked about this before a while ago, but I've got a lot more subs since then, so I'll tell this story again very quickly. I was only a little kid. I was in a video rental shop and I briefly glanced the cover for Mum. It was high up in the corner somewhere and I saw it for a few seconds and I never saw it again. But the movie and the cover stayed with me for years and years, all whilst being a kid, teenager, growing up. The memory of seeing Mum up in that corner never left me. And the reason why is because as a little kid, you know, I'm very close to my mum, and as a kid, she's obviously like your caregiver and the person that looks after you and reassures you, all that kind of stuff. And at the time, my young mind couldn't make a connection between my mum and this crazy monster that was on the cover. And I just remember thinking in my kid way at the time, like, what on earth must that movie be about? But I saw it, we left the video shop, and that was it. I never saw it again. But the cover of Mum always stuck with me, and then I got it on DVD a few years ago now and watched it for the first time. It's an okay movie, nothing special, but it was great to finally see it and see what this movie is about, because it's one of my most vivid memories and youngest memories is seeing that cover up there and just being completely baffled by the idea of my mum being a crazy, scary looking monster. It's a very fun memory that I have. So my number one memory that I want to talk about was seeing Mum up on the shelves. My second memory from around this time is seeing this poster. Scream was everywhere in 1996, and over here in the UK, we had this bright white poster. It was very, very eye-catching, and it was plastered all around video shops and rental shops and all kind of stores everywhere. So it was very easy to see. And I just remember going in there, and you'd always see this poster for Scream. There were other things as well, where Wishmaster was quite a prominent poster, but this one always stood out. I remember in one of the shops, they had it running along the bottom of the counter, sort of numerous of these white posters along the counter, and it was all over the walls and in the windows and things like that. Scream was everywhere, and it's kind of, when I think back to those video rental days, the Scream, or at least the Scream poster, is one of the kind of the key factors. It was always it always adorned all of the shops you were in. So yeah, when I see this, even now, it takes me back to those days and seeing it as I'd peruse around the shop. So yeah, the Scream poster is another big video rental memory for me. Another fun memory for me is seeing this guy on the shelf, the Jack Frost VHS. And I just remember I used to go in quite a lot and see it. I'd not seen the movie yet, but I was always drawn to this weird snowman creature that was sort of smiling back at me and had this like cheeky grin on his face, always kind of instilling me to rent it out. And I would have been about 9 years old when Jack Frost came out, and I remember I used to look at the cover, and at the time I think it was a serious horror film. I didn't quite know it was the zany horror comedy that it is, but I'd look at it and be full of kind of nervous wonder as to what this movie would be about and what goes on in it, and how a killer snowman would go about his business. And at some point around that time, I would have eventually watched it and really enjoyed it and kind of got it for the comedy horror that it was. But for a while, for a few times going in those shops, I would see Jack Frost staring back at me Would really want to check it out, but would have that kind of childish nervousness about how scary it was. Yeah, how times have changed now. But yeah, I always remember going in and seeing Jack Frost in the shops. The next memory I have is being disappointed by Phantasm. I have said on the channel before, I'm not a big Phantasm fan. It's a bit too weird for me, and it just doesn't work as a horror film. I'm not a fan. A couple of the sequels are okay, but I don't go for the first Phantasm film. And I remember one of the video shops we had, they had a really good large horror section with older horror films from the 70s and 80s, and I used to stand and look at them for ages, not knowing what to pick. And Phantasm, it was this cover right here, was one of the covers that always stood out at me. I always thought this was a fantastic cover. I still do. This kind of crazy looking screaming lady. She's covering her eyes, but you can still see her eyes. That really kind of tripped me out a little bit. I was very intrigued and thought, I'm really in for a crazy, I don't know, slasher film or something here. So I rented out Phantasm and was disappointed by it. And it was kind of one of the movies that sort of taught me at a young age that cover art can sometimes mislead you. As we all know, VHS cover art is amazing, but it really represents the actual tone and vibe of the film. And Phantasm was one of those for me. And I just remember being really disappointed and not getting the movie. So yeah, that's kind of an early memory in terms of like, yeah, that sort of being drawn in and having that disappointment. It's always stuck with me. So it's still a fun memory, even though the movie disappointed me. It's a memory that I still look at fondly, because I remember that sort of childlike being drawn into such a cool looking movie, which I miss those days. But yeah, it did kind of teach me that lesson, not to believe everything you see on the amazing cover. And the last memory, and one of my favourite memories actually, is the memory of renting the Friday the 13th movies on video. Believe it or not, I never actually owned a Friday the 13th movie as a kid on video or anything like that. We had to go to one of the shops, Video City. They had all of the Friday the 13th in stock at the time. Back then it would have been Friday the 13th part 1 up until Jason Goes to Hell. And what I used to do, because I was probably at school or something like that, my mum, being really cool, she'd be out and about doing her errands, and she used to stop by Video City each Friday, and she'd get me 2 Friday the 13th movies at a time. So for one weekend I'd have part 1 and 2, next weekend I'd have 3 and 4, and 5 and 6, and it worked like that. And I remember the anticipation. I was so excited every weekend to get 2 more Friday the 13th movies, and I'd always have a look at the cover art and wonder what Jason will get up to in the next installment. It was so exciting to just explore that franchise for the first time, and then kind of rewatch them over the years. Yeah, such a fun time as a kid, and Friday the 13th is my favourite horror franchise. It just really resonated with me a lot. So yeah, again, I kind of miss those times, that sort of that childish excitement of looking forward to getting 2 new movies. And yeah, it was something that really, I guess, inspired my love for that franchise. So yeah, the weekly rental of 2 Friday the 13th movies is something that I always look back on really fondly from that time. So there we go, guys. That's 5 things that I remember from the days of the video rental. Hope you enjoyed that little fun video, and of course, if you want to share any of your memories in the comment section below, please do so. I'd love to read any of your experiences from back in the day. So thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.